Okay, so as I explained to you, Danny, this is a toolkit that we're going to be going through over probably consecutive weeks or every fortnight. We're going to be building it from the bottom up. And the main reason is to, I suppose, to share my philosophy of marketing and what has helped me grow a practice to over 8,600 patients and clients, and help yourself and other osteopaths to do the same thing, because the bigger each clinic is and the better each practitioner can promote themselves, the more that osteopathy grows, and the more that we can help the public, but also the more that we can help our fellow osteopaths as well. Yeah. Now, throughout this, if you have any questions at all, then just let me know straight away, because it's probably better that we answer questions as we go rather than wait to the end.
Sure, no worries.
Yeah. All right. So good marketing. So good marketing to me places the client as the hero within their story. And the reason why we do this is, and we're going to be going through this in a little bit more detail, is that every person really sees themselves as the main character in their own story, right? Unless they've been able to disembark themselves from their ego, they are the main character of their story. And it's important that we see that, because we have to see marketing from a selfless perspective. We're taking completely the patient or the prospect's perspective, and we're not putting our own prospect or our own perspective to the patient. The reason why I stress this is because when I first started to market, I fell into the mistake again and again and again of thinking osteopathy is great. Why wouldn't anyone not want to see an osteopath, right? And we've gone through this 4-year process of really understanding what we do and how we help people. And sometimes that can render us a little bit naive from the public's perspective, which is that a lot of them have never been to an osteopath. In fact, 80% of them haven't. They don't really have an idea of what an osteopath is. How do we cross that? And the way that we cross that is we put them in as the center within their story, and we guide them throughout their story, at least to the point where they meet us. And then from there, the story then takes on a different projection. We're going to be taught, there's a framework of understanding this that we're going to be speaking through. The benefit of this framework is also crosses over into patient care. So the hero stories is what I use a lot of the time for patient care as well. So the patient or the prospect is the hero, and the boon is the product, i.e. osteopathy. So we need to get that individual to, when they do have a need, to meet us. We are then the guide in their story, just like Gandalf to Frodo. We're going to take them to the boon, which is them being pain-free, hopefully. And then they're going to then return to their previous world, very happy, telling everyone about osteopathy. All right. So throughout this course, we are going to cover, first of all, the hero story and associated myths. So a hero story, a lot of the time it has a very common framework, but it takes on slightly different characteristics, different turns and events, which we'll recognize. We're then going to bring that into good copywriting. So how can we write, keeping the reader at the center of the story? And then we're going to create ads and videos from that copy. So we're really today going to set up the first two, and then the final is going to come later when we've got a good grasp of copywriting and navigating that individual through their hero story. Any questions so far?
No, sounds like a good sort of intro to that. Interested to see sort of how it progresses. So yeah, no questions so far.
No problem. All right. So the hero story. Now, this is a framework which was made very popular by Joseph Campbell, who was an anthropologist, and I think he might have been anthropologist, mythologist, maybe psychologist. I'm not too sure. But it's made its way into very, very well-known films like Star Wars, famous example. The Lion King is another good example. But you'll also see this a lot in theological books. So the Bible, Quran, so the Torah, you name your pick. So the hero's journey. So the hero often starts in an ordinary world, right? So this is, for example, could be Simba at Pride Rock. It could be Moses as he's growing up in Egypt, but it's also our patients before pain, right? So they're completely naive of what pain's like a lot of the time. They might not even have empathy with people who are in debilitating pain. So ordinary world, they then experience pain. That's their first stressor, and that's their first call to adventure, or their first call to action. What do I do? Now, the third is refusal of the call. So this might be someone who is in the vicious cycle of continuously having flare-ups, continuously going to their doctor for stronger and stronger pain medication. But they've refused the idea at this point in time that there's any more help out there for them. And this could last anywhere between days to months to years, right? With patients who are in chronic pain and they've just relied on opiates or something like that before they've even thought of a therapeutic intervention, which would be obviously physiotherapy, osteopathy, chiropractic, whichever you like. The fourth would be meeting the mentor. That's you. The fifth is crossing the threshold. That's dedicating themselves to this path outside of their ordinary world. So they've gone through pain, stand medication, the typical cultural things to do in Britain, and they're now crossing the threshold, which is starting to work with you as an osteopath. And a lot of the time, you know, the marketing side of things will be getting them up to that point. But I would say that marketing continues beyond that point, and I'll show you why. So tests, allies, and enemies, that will be enemies that will just be their pain or their social situations or environmental situations which are getting in the way of their full recovery. The approach and the ordeal, death and rebirth. This will essentially be them seeing the light, seeing, oh my God, I feel I move so much better. I didn't understand that these things were implicated in my health and in my back pain. I completely understand now. Reward seizing the sword, that's them utilizing all the advice that you've given them on their journey going forward. And then we've got the road back. So the road back and returning with the elixir, this is actually them going back to their work or their sports team or their community and saying that, you know what, I've been on an amazing journey with an osteopath, and this osteopath has given me the tools that I need to become pain-free and hopefully stay pain-free as well. Let me tell you all about it. So you see how we've got this natural cycle of a need or a demand, then them having to cross that threshold to satisfy that need or that demand, the ordeal which they face with you to get over, to get through their pain, and then you've got the word of mouth that comes after that. And getting some good testimonials or video testimonials or written testimonials would be part of their journey to return with the elixir, to let their community know exactly what you've been able to help them with. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that at the initial stages for a practice that's just set up, getting to that first, so stage 4, like you say, meeting the mentor, especially when you said initially that 80% of people doesn't know even what an osteopath is, you know, and probably the 20% have probably already got an osteopath who they know and trust, and I suppose that's the difficulty. And then number 5 is sort of crossing that threshold, getting them on board and actually telling them what the treatment plan is and getting them interested is also sort of second part of that challenge. And maybe after that, from 5 onwards, it sort of grows organically with the patient, obviously dependent on what they've got going on, what their ordeals are, what their sort of tests, allies and enemies are. So it's a really interesting way of breaking it down, actually, because it sort of does become one muddle, and you're sort of in that new world of a new practice. You've got everything, and you know, from starting a new business going on, from accounts, you know, marketing is just one element, to sort of being competent and confident in yourself. It's a really nice, helpful way to sort of see it broken down in stages, and you can sort of see where your patient's at on that journey.
Precisely.
If I think back to some of my patients now, I'm now thinking, oh, that person's at 8 with me here, and that person's at 7. So it's a nice roadmap in my head to sort of take them through a journey from sort of 1 to 12.
Perfect. And you also will see that because we've broken it into steps, we can now see that our duty is to do a good job every single one of those steps. And the better the job that we do at each one of the steps, the more of a service we're doing to our patients. But you see also that the journey with that patient begins even before you've met them. So that's the marketing side of things. But like I said, the marketing continues throughout the process, because the better the job that you do at each one of these stages, the quicker you and the better you're going to grow your practice with people who would not be a good fit, but who really need to see you and will really benefit from your services. Yeah. Now, going forward, so I just want you to, now that we've got the hero story, we can phrase the hero story in many different ways. And this is where Joseph Campbell's work for me comes in really helpful, because he essentially, in his book, say a hero of a thousand faces, I think it's called, he demonstrates how the different myths fit within the hero story, right? So first example, you've got acceptance of or refusal of the call, which is step
3.
Yeah. So examples that we might see in film or other forms of media is blue or red pill in the Matrix. Do you want to continue being naive, or do you want to step into the unknown world? You've then got outcast or heir. So Simba, are you going to return to Pride Rock and claim your place, or are you going to continue with Simone and Pumbaa having a good time? The film The King, I don't know if you've seen The King, which I think is about King Richard. It's a fantastic film. But same, he's a reject. He doesn't take up his call to become heir, but then he does, and then he decides, and then he leads England in the Battle of Agincourt, and then becomes the hero and returns with the boon. Spider-Man not stopping the villain who killed his uncle. Moses refusing to ask for his people's freedom as he entered the court of the pharaohs. Another common myth, which is one that we see quite a lot, is belly of the beast, or I've been to the mountaintop. So one is I was lost and then I was found. So you will see that in Prodigal Son, which in the Bible. You'll also see I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen the promised land. I've seen how great it is, and I want to give it to you. So one is I've been in a dark place, but I've come out, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And the other is I've been to a higher place, come back down to grab you, take you back up to the higher place with me. So Moses with the 10 Commandments, Moses seeing the promised land, and also any story where a character has been swallowed. So he's in the belly of the beast, he's deep in depression, deep in despair, and was able to find their way out of it. Yeah. Right. So we've now, that's a lot to go through, and it's probably a case that it will take a little while to get used to that as a framework. But the way to get used to it is literally just to practice writing, to practice seeing things, to practice that perspective. So these are, sorry, any questions so far?
No, it's all good.
All good, yeah. Okay. So these are acronyms that I commonly use to frame that hero story, because we can't just write a story. That would be great for a book or for an article, but we can't just write a story. It has to have, I suppose, more of a marketing framework to get it across, right? So because one of the first things that we need to do, if someone sees our work, whether it's our media or whether it is our copywriting or advertisement, is we need to grab their attention. People are extremely distracted, especially nowadays. So for you to grab their attention, it has to be very, very sharp, very, very quick, has to relate to that person straight away. So you'll see that in all of these formats, you've got attention, awareness, or picture, trying to get that person to see what they want, or you've got a declaration. Now, my personal favorite is DeForesty, which you'll see on the right-hand side. DeForesty is an acronym which is used for persuasive writing. So let's go through this one first. So declaration, you need to grab someone's attention who's in pain. So I'll ask you the question, what would you say to that person? Someone's walking down the street, they're in pain. What are you going to say to them to grab their attention straight away?
Hi. What are you going to say? That are you okay? Well, if someone's walking down the street and I saw them.
Well, imagine they're walking past your practice and you want to tell them about the work that you do within your practice. They're walking down the road, they're looking at 100 different things. What are you going to say to grab their attention?
I'd have to have sort of a big red sign which sort of says "Stop here," so pain-free here.
Okay,
come
yeah,
in.
say that. Pain-free here, or pain specialists here, or you could
Yeah.
say in pain, free consultation. So with everything that we've done, we've hit what's called a pain point. So a pain point could be that person expressing fear, or it could be them expressing a lack of something, distress, anxiety. All of these things are pain points. When someone's got pain, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, they want to find a resolution. So you want to, first of all, position your resolution at the forefront of their story, right? Or the forefront of the beginning of the interaction to you. That becomes your headline, but it can also become the first line of text in your copywriting. Now, it tends to be that you'd be looking at a headline to be no more than 9 words, and you would want to position your brand within that. So now you've obviously, if say Revitalized Clinic, now you're down to say 7 words. And there's certain buzzwords that you can use to grab someone's attention. So one might be emotive language, like pain. Another one might be free, specialist, expert, today, now. All these things are words that you can use to grab attention and to hit a bit harder, right? We've then got anecdotes. Now, anecdotes are fantastic because they tend to be very emotional and very, very qualitative. So we've got, for example, declaration: start your journey to be pain-free today, free consultation. Anecdote could be Stu, who came to the clinic 2 months ago with raging lower back pain, wasn't a medical emergency. She was, thankfully, with our help, she made a full recovery and is now able to lift 50 kilos in weight or something like that, right? And obviously going into a little bit more depth, making sure that you're bringing as much emotional language to it as possible. Raging, she was in despair, grief. She was lost, kind of things that lost for cause, or lost for ideas of what to do, right? And then after that, you've got facts. So facts then take a quantitative perspective. So example could be, did you know that 90% of people are satisfied with their osteopath? Did you know that the British Medical Journal has rated osteopathy as being the best intervention for lower back pain? Things like this, right? Emotive language again. So emotive language, I would say this is where you build empathy. I know that it's very difficult to be, or we know as specialists, it's very difficult to be in pain, that it can feel some days that it will never end, and that a lot of the time you get used to pain and you feel that you'd rather live with it rather than venture onto your journey to figure out how you could live without pain and what life would be like without pain. Expert opinion. Our expert opinion is, and our expert perspective is, that we've been able to help 95% of people that we've interacted with, and 80% of them are now living a fulfilling life free of pain. Statistics: the average visit to our clinic is 5 appointments before patients are discharged. We've got a rating of over 95%, highly satisfied. Triples is now more of a literal tool that you can use to hit a point hard. So even if we start off with something like no more pain, no more saying no to things that you want to do, and no more unknown, or something like that. So using triples is a way to just hit the point hard. And then your imperative would be a call to action: book in today for your free consultation. So you see how that person, as they're reading that, will position themselves as the hero in their world. So I'm lost, I'm in pain. And then you present yourself as a guide. That guide then shows me that they've been able to help other people just like me. And look at this, there's also facts which are unbiased facts. Like, for example, BMJ, they tend to back up what they're saying. They feel like they seem to get me. They're using empathetic language which really relates to me. And I look, they've got a master's degree in osteopathy. It took 4 years to get that. They must know what they're talking about. Look at the statistics that back up everything that they're doing at their clinic. And then they hit me with this triple, which it makes me, basically gears me up to make a decision to then get into contact with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how it ties into sort of the world circle that we looked into a moment ago, and it's a clear, obviously when someone's, like you say, people are distracted and they see an ad and they're seeing hundreds of ads every day, but if they can sort of mold their self to this breakdown, you get their attention and they can put their self in the facts, into the anecdote, into the emotive language, and hopefully be brave enough to make the decision to go through the call to action. And you've got to make that process as fluid and personal and easy as possible, from what I'm hearing.
They should feel like you're the only, they should feel like that was written for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should almost feel like it's a bit of a coincidence. It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Exactly
How
what
do
I
they know?
Okay, the other acronyms we've got is PPP, so picture descriptive copy that places the reader. So my favorite example of this was Ogilvy. What's his first name? Ogilvy. Andrew Ogilvy. Ogilvy is probably one of the most famous advertisers of all time, and he wrote I think it was an award-winning advertisement for Rolls-Royce, and he said the engine is so quiet, the noisiest thing is the electric clock on the dashboard. And an electric clock, because it makes no sound at all, and he's saying that's how quiet it is, right? So he's able to create a picture in your mind of you cruising down the road in this Rolls-Royce in complete luxury. You're not hearing a thing, complete peace. Now that's obviously, I mean, to be able to create that image with just one sentence is very difficult, but I think that's what we should be aiming for. Promise. So what will happen if the picture comes through or becomes true? So promising certain benefits of using your services. Prove, testimonials. I would put the testimonials in with facts in De Foresti, and then push, or basically a call to action. And you'll see that that's the same thing with ACCA and ADA. Is you're grabbing attention, informing, creating this desire. But I just feel like for me, De Foresti does it in the most
structured,
yeah, and also just most comprehensive of ways. It's more difficult to fall into traps with it. Yeah. Any questions before we go on to the last slide?
No, that's all great. It's all make perfect sense so far.
So last one. So these are literary tools that we can put within our text or within the copywriting. So these are all quite self-explanatory, but let's go through a couple which I haven't really explained yet. So we've spoken about fear as a pain point. Enthuse, we've kind of covered that. That's more about almost writing a love letter about your services. Yeah, so using really descriptive emotive language like we described. Using celebrities is, so this was unsupported by Ogilvy, but it was supported by Drew Eric Whitman. So these are two. One, Drew Eric Whitman is a copywriter as well. He supports the notion of using celebrities. Obviously, there's practitioners who have really used celebrities well. An osteopath who is it Anisha? Yeah, Anisha Joshi. She's great.
I've spoken to her on the phone.
Yeah,
she's really good.
Very, very, very good at networking, at getting certain celebrities into her practice. And from her perspective, she's done really well as a result, because the celebrities build what would be permission to use, conformity, a high rate of conformity.
That whole influencer culture, isn't it? If people think if it's good enough for them, then it's it's good enough for me.
Exactly that. And it trickles down, right? So only celebrities used to have their lips done. Now everyone has their lips done. Only celebrities used to have a flat screen TV. Everyone's got a flat screen TV. So it all trickles down. Everyone wants to be the hero.
Yeah. Well, they may see the celebrity as the hero. So if they can get close to that, that's sort of the idea.
Precisely. But the hero paints the story. I was lost, but now I'm found. And if I can be lost and found, then you can be as well. Yeah. All right. So celebrity. Don't need to worry about that. Okay, you're here. All right. So you're here is really good for videos. Really good for videos. So, for example, you could be say if someone's scrolling from their phone and they see a video of you going, stop scrolling and actually do something good for your health for once. Welcome to the Revitalized Clinic where we do blah 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 blah. So it could be an entry, placing yourself in that prospect's environment to get their attention.
Sure.
Yeah. Throw rocks at your enemies. I wouldn't advise using that. PSP.
No.
Well, throw rocks at your enemies is it's used in politics a lot. So
It's like saying don't go to chiropractors because they'll break your neck, sort of thing. It's not a good idea.
no, it's not. It's not even that. So
okay.
you when you throw rocks at your enemies, you have to convince someone that they have an enemy. So, for example, So, for example, when politicians say that you see these immigrants, they're your enemy. We're going to help you stand up against them. It's really toxic.
Okay.
Yeah, that's to throw rocks at your enemies. PSP, which we've discussed before, present solution, problem solution, prove success. Ask to ask. Research shows that asking the reader to ask for a sample may be better than giving one for free. Okay, yes, asking them to ask. So asking them to please contact us for a free consultation. Ask us for a consultation, or ask us for an appointment, rather than here's an appointment or here's a free appointment. Gossip, I wouldn't bring that one into it either. Verbs, yeah, standard. Offers, standard. 4E's, that's another acronym. And that's it, really. That's it for now. So what I'd recommend that you do is put these tools to good use. And have you got a website yet?
Yeah, bodyfunction.co.uk.
Perfect. So what you want to do is start to write these, or start to write your content on your website around these. So a good way that you could do this is have one page for shoulder pain, another page for lower back pain, another page for knee pain, all the common complaints that you see. And it will give you a good example, or sorry, good practice to put these into good use. And it doesn't have to be really more than 1 to 2 pages of A4, but put these to good use, create web pages out of them, and then from there we can create advertisements from them.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, sounds good. So sort of if you're going to put an ad on sort of Facebook for neck pain, when they click that ad, it will sort of, the landing page will be the page that goes in for neck pain, and then it will sort of have the foundations of what we spoke in terms of
definitely do that. That would work very well with Google, much better with Google, because you're not competing amongst an audience. So it'll be much better for Google AdWords. Advertise a solution for neck pain, link it to a page for neck pain. But the benefit of doing this is to get practice, and then we can create headlines and different marketing content off the back of it. Yeah,
sure.
I would definitely do this for you. That's all right. I'll definitely do this for your main page as well. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll schedule a time in, say, how long do you reckon that'll take you? 2 weeks, month?
Oh, I'll do it by end of next week maximum.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
so if I give you 2 weeks just in case, and then we'll sort out our time in 2 weeks' time to catch up, and we'll then go from there. Is that all right?
Right. Lovely. Cheers, Elliot. Thanks again, mate.
No problem at all. There you go.